Welcome world. Welcome world. This is 360 Collective. We are back at you. We are happy to be with you today. We are thrilled that you are joining us from wherever you are in the world. This is a cooperative strategizing session for November 6, 2024. Again, we are 360 Collective. We are an education consulting cooperative, which means that we provide free programming, workshops, support, training, coaching to teachers, administrators, other school-based employees, or district leaders. We work with districts when they call upon us to help them find unprecedented results through unique, dynamic solutions. We also adopt a social justice orientation to the work we do, hence our presence on social media, and hence this conversation today. We agreed yesterday when we were talking about the election that we were going to come back on tonight no matter what. Now, we thought in general, we thought that we were going to be coming back with a better result, and we were hoping for a better result than what we got. We aren't Democrats. We consider ourselves to be more like outside left in our persuasion, in our work. We were still rooting for Kamala to win the presidency over Donald Trump. And obviously that didn't happen. And so the tone that we're going to strike tonight is a little bit different than the one we were hoping to strike. We want to create space and opportunity for you listening to react, to talk with us, to interact with us. Tell us about how you're feeling about things. Tell us what you think we ought to do next, both as 360 Collective, but then we as a group talking together. What do we do next? What are the opportunities for us to collaborate, cooperate, and work together? So in a few more minutes, we're going to drop the link for you to jump right into the conversation with us if you want, or you can simply drop a comment. We will react and acknowledge your comments. If you're here with us now, we would love to know where you are tapping in from. Welcome again to 360 Collective's Cooperative Strategizing session. We have three questions that we're going to jump into tonight. The first one is, first, how are you feeling? The next is, how did we get here? How did this happen? And then the last one is, what do we do next? So we will spend, I don't know, maybe about 60 minutes, 75, 80 minutes together. We hope to cover each one of those questions and have a really rich conversation with you. So wherever you are, we hope that you choose to interact with us. Now, with that said, first question, my brother Timothy Hampton, how are you feeling?
Well, I think like the rest of us on this side of the issue, I am a little sick to my stomach, a little bewildered, like after a prize fight, got hit in the face really hard a couple times. But as you know, and as we've stated, I predicted this. I mean, I knew this was going to happen. I hoped against hope that it would not happen, but I knew that this was going to happen because I know the United States. I've studied it in depth, in detail, its history, its contemporary politics, its racism, its bigotry, its hatred in depth for 30 years. So how do I feel? I feel vindicated because for 30 years, I've been saying that this is what the United States actually is: a morally bankrupt, intellectually compromised, melting pot of socially unacceptable people. Okay, so I've gone through in the last 24 hours really pretty much the 5 stages of grief. Okay, denial. Damn, this can't be happening. This is not happening right now. I can't believe it. Anger, you know, what in the hell is happening? Anger in any form or imagination or expression that you can feel. I felt anger for a short time. Bargaining is the third stage of grief, and that bargain was with myself, whether or not to continue paying my credit card bills and continue meeting my financial obligations in the United States of America, because Trump don't pay no bills or taxes, nothing. He is a financial whoremonger, and he doesn't do anything right financially, and he never has. And he's president. 7 bankruptcies, Come on, my credit score ain't never been that bad, and he's a billionaire. So that was bargaining with myself. The fourth stage is depression. You know, anger and depression are kind of the same thing, and I felt those
Mm.
almost immediately. But I was depressed for a moment. I was depressed for a moment. But then came the acceptance because, like I said, I am vindicated. I am vindicated intellectually, professionally, academically, scholarly for everything I've ever written and said about the United States being an enclave of ignorant, undereducated, xenophobic idiots. At least 51%. At least 51%. So the majority of the United States are in fact these reprehensible people who believe these things that Donald Trump said and could not bring themselves to vote for a person or a woman of color. 248 years. 248 years. The United States has had one black president and no females of any kind.
Hmm.
Come on, man.
All right. We're going to come back to that in a second because I think you're starting to tap into the other important question that we're going to get to in just a minute. Before we do, though, so hold that thought, but we're going to come right back to you, Tim. Grant, how about you, my man? How are you feeling about everything?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I think there has been a shift in climate here in this country. I'm starting to see it already. It's kind of weird because I don't think it really hit me until, I mean, of course, everyone got the official news this morning, but I kind of went out. I didn't go out. I typically work from home, but I went out today, ran a couple errands to get out the house. I know it's a little bit of shifting the camaraderie amongst, some of the especially white men out here. It just seems as if they were walking around their chest out a little bit more today. I even heard one guy say to another, he called him his brother. I'm like, brother, when do you start calling? Now they're saying brother to each other. I don't remember hearing that. I mean, I'm not saying they never used it before, but there was some type of pride now.
Look at Tim. Hey, hold on. Look at.
Bruh. Seriously? They're
Oh, I'm
out there
serious.
walking around with
No,
their chest
I'm
out,
serious.
chin in the air.
Yeah, no, they're really out here. They almost wanted to fist bump each other. I think they wanted to do. So, so you have, and for the first time, I felt some kind of way that almost.
Oh, that's awful.
I don't want to say fearful, but I'm looking over my shoulder a little bit more. I think now because I think they have gained. It's not. It was more than just it was more than the economy. It was more than the open border. This was a unification of white supremacy.
Yeah.
That's what I feel this turned out to be. It had nothing, and I did have the nerve to stay up and watch Donald Trump's acceptance speech. I just looked at it briefly and dozed off in the middle because it was extremely late. And just the sea of white people out there. I mean, no diversity at all. No diversity on the stage. It for the first time in a long time, I really felt like there's a shift in this country, and that picture, that stage was representation on the stage, representation in the crowd, is what I really feel like this country shifted towards whites only. That's all that was out there. Now we know we're gonna get into some statistics. We understand that other than white men and white women voted for Donald Trump. We're getting that soon, but that's one part of it. The other part how I felt is my heart cried out for black women because they felt, reading some of the comments on social media, they really felt betrayed. They felt down. This was a huge blow. I mean, I think they really psychologically are really trying to deal with this more than anyone else, because what the election showed by her losing the popular vote, not only losing the election, but losing the popular vote as well, and losing these states who she thought for sure she would have won, really said something about being a black woman in this country. It really, and again, we'll look at the statistics, but I don't want to get into too much of it. But I think they felt betrayed because they thought that women overall were going to unite, and that's not what happened. We saw that white women threw them under the bus in this election. So I'm feeling many different feelings. I think that it was hard to watch the concession speech, and I'll get into that more than later. But it's a lot of mixed emotions going on. A lot of mixed emotions.
I ain't watched that shit. My wife's still mad at me. That shit was coming on. I was like, why are you watching that? I'm not watching that, and I didn't watch it, and I won't watch it. I am refraining from any media intake for an indeterminate amount of time right now, because I'm telling you, this I've been saying for weeks on social media, white supremacy is on the ballot. This election was a referendum on white supremacy and nothing else. Nothing else. The reason the border was such a popular argument is because brown people were said to be pouring over it. Nobody talked about the Irish guy who got off the plane and stayed. Nobody talked about the Canadian people who drove over and just didn't go back. You know what I mean? It was these brown people who were flowing in and taking your jobs and black jobs and all this kind of shit. And they really don't like us, bro. I don't know if you knew. I don't know if you were aware, but they really do not like black people in the United States. I don't know if that's a news flash for folks, almost like what happened to the Puerto Ricans and they voted for them anyway. They really don't like us. Oh my God, I didn't know. We knew this. The shift in the open enthusiasm for whiteness, that's always been there, man. It's just been behind their eyes and then all them dirty looks and seething with anger because they had to hide it. Now they ain't got to hide it no more. And I think I said in the text message, there's no longer any political, social, legal, or moral protection from tyranny and oppression and racism and bigotry anymore. That's it. You can't call the police. They have 100% immunity now. That's what Trump said he was going to do. You can't go to court to try to sue somebody for discrimination. You can't go to your boss and say, hey, boss, Jim Pacheski just called me a nigger. Isn't that against policy? Not anymore. So yeah, it's about to get bad. This was a referendum on white supremacy and they won.
Well, I have to be completely straight with both of you guys and with those that may be listening. Like, okay, anyone that's followed our page or listened to us talk about any topic, they know that we understand that our system, that our politics in this country are not designed to serve people, in particular, black and brown people. We understand, and we've said many times that our system is built on white supremacy and capitalism, and these two things together create a special kind of unique American fascism. We call it that all the time. So I don't think any of us had any misgivings about the next president and their ability to impact change, even the most well-meaning person, right? We critique Kamala Harris's politics. We accepted her as a competent, smart person and as an instrument of imperialism at the same time. We also saw that she was 1,000 times more qualified and 1,000 times better and safer for black and brown people in this country than Donald Trump would be, right? So we understand the dynamics of empire that exist in this country. We understand the systems in which we're operating, And we also acknowledged that Kamala Harris was a much better person to occupy the White House than Donald Trump. I was completely certain, guys, completely certain that she was going to win the election. I mean, you guys remember yesterday, I had it as a blowout. I had her getting 300 plus electoral votes. I thought the Puerto Ricans were going to come out and say, fuck you for calling us garbage. I thought young people were going to come out. I thought it was going to be a vote race. And so as the night went on and she won that first swing state, I think it was Georgia they projected her towards. It might have been North Carolina, but those were the two that they projected to her. Man, I started to get physically ill, and I have to admit I'm still physically ill. I mean, my heart is pounding a little bit just having this conversation with you guys. My stomach has been all twisted up. And the thing is, I should be past this. As a damn near 50-year-old who has studied the history of this country, has witnessed enough of it myself to draw intelligent conclusions about its foundations, like you said, Tim, acknowledging the white supremacy of it all. I still believed that Kamala Harris was going to win. And I knew that there's going to be work for us to do. I was looking forward to us getting on this call and talking about how we would organize within the framework of a Kamala Harris presidency. And now, like, our conversation is going to be completely different. It's going to be about how we survive, like physically, literally, how do some of us survive in this 4 years that we have before us. And then as an educator too, like, I can't tell you how many conversations I had to have with kids and my teachers. I was a principal when Donald Trump was president. My teachers had to have with kids because of some stupid ass thing that Donald Trump, or what was his son-in-law, his kids, one of his mongrel kids said that we had to then explain to our children, or something that he did, and we would have to tell our third graders, no, Jonathan, we don't talk that way. Just because you heard the president do it, that doesn't mean you. Like, we had to have those conversations. I mean, it was outrageous. I can't tell you how much it set back the work that we were trying to do in an institution of education because we had this buffoon as president. And so, like, the fact that people everywhere in schools working with kids 5 years old up to 12, 16, 18, let alone the impact it's going to have on curriculum and like the Department of Education and funding, like, it makes me ill, man. Like, my head is starting to pound just thinking about it. So I'm not in a good way right now. I'm past denial. What's the next one, Tim? What's the one right after denial?
The one right after denial would be anger.
Anger. I think I'm anger. I'm going to be stuck on anger for a really long time, guys. That's where I am right now. So I'm going to ask to see if there's anything in the chat. But any before we jump into the next question, any additional thoughts, guys, before we jump into question number 2, which is about how we got here? Any other reactions around feelings that you want to explore? Anything you want to react to that you've heard so far?
Well, I looked at some of the stats, who voted for who, and who the white guys voted for, who the white females voted for, who the Puerto Ricans voted for, and all this kind of stuff. And she was basically behind in every category, but black people, black men and women. Everybody else came out for Trump. And if that's not a clear and concise message to black people in the United States, I don't know what else there could be. I mean, for all these years, 248 of them, they've been dogging us like redheaded stepchildren, okay? Dogging us hard, and then this whole thing happens, and everybody was so hopeful. Everybody was, and even me, everybody was so hopeful. Everybody was so happy. People on
energized,
crying,
energized.
I get to cast my vote
Yeah.
for women of color, and people going through it, and all of a sudden, you ever poke a balloon with a pen?
Oh man. I got pictures in my phone right now of my niece voting for the first time, man. So when you said that, yeah, that was kind of an asshole comment the way you said that, man. That was that was a little that got me, man. That got me. But you're right though. I mean, you're right. That's the worst part about it. Like, you're exactly right.
Yeah. And you know, I hate it. I hate that I was right. I hate it. Y'all know how much I wanted to be wrong. You know how much I wanted to be wrong.
Look at him smiling, G. Look at him. Look at him smiling, G.
Right.
He hated it so much. Look at him. Look at him.
I'm vindicated. I've spent 30 years of people telling me,
I know.
no, it's not that bad.
I know.
You know, people are not that racist in the United States.
Yeah.
It's not that serious of a situation. If you would just let it go, I think it's you. You're the one who's angry all the time.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right. All the fucking time. Angry. Because the white supremacy and the racism and the bigotry. I'm supposed to walk around smiling like a goddamn idiot and laugh all day? Are you kidding me? Look at the United States right now. Mm-hmm. Look at it for what it actually is. Come on, man. I'm vindicated. I'm smiling big as shit. Because, you know, as you know, secret's out. I'm no longer there. You know, I'm no longer there. And, you know.
Hey, Tim, show G what you were doing when we were prepping before we went on. Look at it. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Not looking too good in the United States right now. You know?
Whoa.
You know, it's not looking too good.
Hold on. Bam. Slap cheek.
Wow.
Bam.
Right. Don't rub it in too much over there, Tim.
I'm not trying to, man. But it's like,
some people are making plans right now to get where you are right now.
Hey, listen.
Can you really believe it, though? Can you really believe that the United States finally showed its true colors on the international stage? You know, every black person in the United States, with the exception of the 10 black Trump supporters, they effed around and found out last night what your position actually is in the United States and on the world stage.
Hey, well, listen, we're laughing and we're trying to have a good time, and the reason that we're doing this is because as a brotherhood, we're relying on each other for support. This is almost like an act of mutual aid for us to be able to laugh and tease each other. Like, we're all heartbroken. Like, let's not get it twisted. We understand what this means for people in this country, but at the same time, we're here to try to process some of our emotions in a healthy way, so that we can find a way forward by the end of this conversation. So,
I mean, the old blues proverb says sometimes you gotta laugh to keep
exactly. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So, like, I hope that, you know, we haven't had any comments or reactions yet, but I hope that we get some, because we want to be here for our followers, for people that track our page and that we interact with. So we hope that this can be of some value. Now, listen, Grant, here's the next question. I want to start with you on this one. How in the world did we get here? Like, what is it that brought us to this point? Why did Kamala Harris lose this election? Now, we've jumped in already with certain things that we're going to explore more, but I'm interested in your unique take on this. What do you think caused this to happen?
Well, let's start with the fact that she was a pivot. She really wasn't. She wasn't the front runner in the first place, and I think that was unfair to her. But she had to jump in. She wasn't going to say no. Who else was going to run? I mean, she's the vice president. She just didn't simply have. I mean, first of all, she didn't have enough time to strategically put together a campaign. This might not even be really the campaign she wanted to run. I think it was completely orchestrated. It was a leftover campaign out of Joe Biden's. They just kind of put it on her. She twisted it around what she possibly could to, make it her own. But she never really got a chance to really make it her own. I don't think. I think she just was told what to do. That's one aspect. The other aspect of it is that the economy. This is what I read. Now, again, I agree with you, Tim. I think people put a mask on and use these different reasons as to why they voted they did. But the real reason, we know what the real reason, but they claim the reason was the economy. They voted with their pocketbooks. They didn't vote for any other reason. They would have people out here hurting. and they want to see a change in the economy. Of course, we heard 1,000 times she was the border czar and she let all these people in. That was another reason. But the fact of the matter is that statistics shows is that you had young voters for the first time that came out to vote. Some of them for the very first time in their lives, just to be able to cast a vote for Donald Trump. They had no interest in any other election. I mean, these are the young 20-some-year-olds who set out on the last election, and maybe I think one guy was saying his first time, or he hadn't voted since the Obama election.
Hey, so Grant, let me add a statistic to that real quick. I'm not gonna steal your thunder, but to that point, Joe Biden in 2020, he had a 25-point margin over Donald Trump when it came to that demographic, 18 to 29-year-old voters. 25-point advantage in young voters compared to Trump. Kamala Harris had only a 13-point advantage in that same demographic, to your point.
Yeah. I mean, they really see Donald Trump as a superhero. These are the kids that grew up watching WWE, and this is Donald Trump fits one of those characters, walking around, huffing and puffing on stage. I mean, he's a character, and so he pandered to that particular demographic in that way. He figured out every which way to pander to every demographic, except for black folks, because of the simple fact that he's a racist and he's a bigot. So how can you pander to us when we know that who you are as a person? So we got here in many different ways. I was very surprised that we got here with a landslide. Now that's just, I can't get over that. Like this whole time, this is going to be a historic race. It's going to be close. We won't know for days. We might even not know for another week. And we knew very early on when she lost Georgia and then North Carolina, that was pretty much over at that point. I mean, they kept it going. Of course, this is the media. They have to keep the night going on. But I think she knew at that point it was over. So I think that the landslide was a very, telltale of the election. Latinos came out in numbers to vote for Donald Trump. I said before in the last broadcast, or one of them, that they typically do vote Republican based upon religious views, particularly on the topic of abortion. Many Latinos are staunch Catholics who vote for pro-life, and so that could have been the reason. I don't really know. I would love to really hear from Latino voters why they voted for Donald Trump. My only other guess is the fact that they too were concerned about the borders. Let's be honest about it. You have the border open from other Mexicans coming in the country illegally, and you have Latinos who already were here. Can you tell who's who? No, you just see a bunch of Latinos. So they're thinking they might come for their jobs. So they might have been feeling in jeopardy of losing their jobs and their way of life by letting other people who may look like them, but they're willing to take a $10 pay cut to take their jobs. Then their jobs are gone, which is actually what's happening in some of these factories around the country. These migrants are coming in and taking low-paying jobs, in which the Americans here that were taking wanting maybe $20. The migrants only were cool with making $10 an hour. So it's an issue. I didn't see this coming at all. I do think we got here because of the fact that there are some things going on in this country that needs to be fixed, and unfortunately, it fell on her lap, which in fact it shouldn't have, because she's not the president. She didn't have 4 years. They keep saying you had 4 years to fix this, when in fact she did not. She's not the president. Joe Biden had 4 years to fix what's going on here. And he didn't. So therefore, it shouldn't fall on her lap. If she started from day one as campaigning as the president of the United States from a fresh start, in which she may decide to do in 2028, a lot of the issues, a lot of the blame game wouldn't have fell on her, because she's not the president. So she wasn't allowed to make the decisions that they could have fixed the economy. Now she was in charge of the border, and I just simply feel as if they put her in a position, they did her wrong there. How do you put somebody in charge of the border who's a prosecuting attorney who
So-
had had no experience on international matters at all? So other than the fact of prosecuting folks who were some of the cartels. So I think they set her up for failure, and no one's talking about that. So
Tim, I think I know, Tim, what your answer to this question is going to be. I want to say a couple technical things that complement what Grant's saying.
Yeah.
And then I want you, I know what your point on this is going to be based on previous conversations in our prep. So let me just add a couple things real quick that fit nicely with what Grant's saying. And then Tim, I know you're going to blow it up as you should do, as you need to do. So first off, there have been elections all over the world, in South Africa, in France, in the UK, and in other places where prominent leaders, fixtures, have been voted out based on economic woes connected to inflation. Right? Inflation was a worldwide phenomenon, and it was something that the Biden-Harris regime had to grapple with as part of recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. She never articulated the recovery in the way that she needed to make a convincing argument that she could continue to facilitate economic growth into the future. On that one question, the single issue voters that went in only caring about the economy, like I'm voting based on the candidate who can run the economy, 80% of them voted for Donald Trump. Right. So she was never able to, on the one hand, articulate where inflation came from, how she and Biden brought the country back from the precipice of disaster from COVID-19 and all of that, and articulate a new vision for the future. Right. So she could not get away from that. But then the other thing that's been happening here for the past 8 to 10 years is that Democratic candidates have been moving further and further to the right. And this is happening because of the shadow money in the party. It began with Bernie Sanders in 2016. We can go all in depth about how Bernie Sanders got robbed out of the nomination for the party candidacy in 2016. It involves Hillary Clinton and money she gave to the DNC and backroom deals that were made, orchestrating her as the lead candidate, and super delegates. And the Democratic National Committee has now changed some of those rules because those rules were orchestrated to position Hillary Clinton as a candidate in 2016, even though Bernie Sanders was the candidate with momentum and who was projecting in early polls head-to-head against Trump to be victorious. So this shadow money and these influences within the party not only put Hillary Clinton in that position in 2016, but they also navigated and manipulated Joe Biden. And then to your point, Grant, did the same thing with Kamala Harris, who was not the same person that she was in 2019. She didn't run as even close to a progressive. Her campaign platform looked almost like Reagan's 1984 campaign platform. She was nowhere near a progressive, and she was articulating ideas and positions that were either Biden's or that belonged to the shadow party of the Democratic regime through the PACs and what have you. So those are a couple of things that I think when we talk about why we got here, those are a couple more things to add on to what Grant said. All of that said, even if she had done all those things right, she still wouldn't have won, would she have, Tim?
Not in another 248 years. No argument that she ever had would have been good enough. Mm-hmm. She black, y'all. No argument that she ever could have articulated, even from day one when Jesus came along, would have been good enough because she's a black woman. It doesn't matter what she would have said. She was 10 times more articulate, 10 times more intelligent, 10 times more educated, 10 times more experienced. There's nothing better she could have done. Yes, she started late. She really did. It's hard to win a race coming from behind. I'll give you that. But, bruh, she dog walked him in the debate. He wouldn't go near her after that. She whooped his ass in pretty much every category, and he still won. Now, as for the immigrants coming over and taking jobs, I want to direct this right at the MAGA Republicans and the Negroes whose jobs were supposedly being taken. If you were born and raised in the United States, you're in your 20s or your 30s, and a person can come over here, don't speak a word of English, never been to an American school, never had an American job, and take your job. You need to check your skill set. You need to check your education. You need to check what it is you've been doing for the last 25, 30, or 40 years of your life. If an immigrant can walk across a river in some wet jeans and come and take your job, what is wrong with that picture? Okay, that's two things I had about that. And as for, there was a third thing, but I forgot. But I think those two are good enough.
Hey, look, the only way Trump could have lost this election is if he rolled over and became a black man one day.
And the only way she could have won is if she rolled over and became a white man. Yeah. She'd have been better off putting her husband out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it, Tim. Look, in 2016, Hillary Clinton wins the popular vote and loses the election, right? In 2020, Joe Biden wins the popular vote and the election. And then in 2024, Kamala Harris, the black woman, loses the popular vote and the electoral college. I mean, if you think about a hierarchy of white supremacy, that's it. A mediocre, undeserving white man at the top of it all, a white woman right behind that, and black women at the bottom. Right? I mean, and then let's also be clear on a couple other things. When we talk about Barack Obama became the president on the heels of the worst economic disaster in damn near 100 years. It took the worst economic calamity since the Great Depression for a black man to walk into the White House. Right? Now, and here's another thing. Let's go even further back. Do you remember World War II? Why we got into World War II? Do y'all remember what was the inciting event that led us into the war? In 1941,
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Do you know that the war had been going on for several years before that?
Oh, absolutely.
Adolf Hitler had walked across Europe with the Nazi swastika proclaiming the superiority of the Aryan race. And do you know that we stood there and watched that happen? Like, our tolerance for fascism is extremely high. And Tim, I mean, you point this out all the time. Like, the Ku Klux Klan still exists. It still exists.
Not designated a terror organization.
I mean, come on. I mean, right. So in that respect, if we really look at what this country stands for and the way this country behaves, it is absolutely no surprise that Kamala Harris lost. In fact, if anything, it's amazing that she got as close as she did to the White House in just 90 days with the preparation that she had.
She didn't get close to the White House. She got close to some cameras. She didn't get close to the White House. It's the lyrics I quoted.
Okay.
Listen to the lyrics one more time. Okay, it's Howard Jones, 1984, I think. You can look at the menu, but you just can't eat. You can feel the cushions, but you just can't have a seat. You can dip your foot in the pool, but you can't take a swim. You're the fastest runner, but you're not allowed to win. Okay, that's the whole story behind what happened to Kamala Harris and every other black person in the United States when it comes to professional pursuits, with the exception of a select few. You know what I mean? You're going to get so far, fine. You want to be the postmaster of Grand Rapids? We'll get your ass to postmaster of Grand Rapids. But you ain't going nowhere else. You know what I mean? And don't mess up. Don't cross the line because you get crucified quick, you know? So, nah, man, she didn't get close to the White House. She did not get close to the White House. She got close to some cameras. She got close to some celebrities. She was never close to the White House. Never. Never. In our minds and in the media, she was close. But
You're
all
right.
them people who didn't vote for her, there was no way she was going to the
I mean,
White
definitely not anywhere close in the electoral college. I mean, even if she gets these last couple states, I mean, she'll be able.
No, there's no way she was ever going to the White House.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, most of them were quiet about it. Didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't say nothing. There were a few nutcases on social media wearing garbage bags and Trump hats, but the vast majority of the people, they didn't say nothing. You know, they didn't say nothing. They were quiet about it. You know,
Hey, a lot of imposters too. I mean, I think a lot of white women claim to have, they were up there parading around talking about reproductive rights and that they were standing. They were voting on the fact of no one to be able to control their bodies. Those are the same people who got in that ballot booth and checked off Donald Trump. They couldn't bring themselves to be able to tell their children that a black woman became the first president of the United States before their child became the first, got a chance. Think about that. I mean,
it's hard to argue with that. I mean, you look at the stats. I mean, white men and white women overwhelmingly carried Trump to the White House. It's hard to argue against that.
Yeah, it was their grandmothers that were yelling at Ruby Bridges and throwing rocks at him. It was their grandmothers that were doing that.
Yeah. Could you really think they're going to sit there and think, well, I'll just give her a chance to go ahead and give the white, never mind anybody who looks like me having the chance to be the first white woman president. But at the same time, well, what does that say about Hillary though? They didn't want to get her in there either. There are just, like I said this yesterday, there are just culturally, the culture in this country where there's a distrust for women in general to be able to run the country. Now, some people have said that they're too much in their feelings, they're too emotional, they're not strong enough. We'll be seen to be weak if we have a woman. But there are other countries in this world who have women presidents.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. This country though is stuck in basically in 1940s, 50s policies of women stays at home, man runs everything. We're still there. We're not there in terms of the job market, but we're still there in the thought process of the woman still belongs behind the man. You can never put her
intellectually compromised. Intellectually compromised.
Hey, look, we got to pause to talk about that a little bit, like the state of manhood in this country. And I'll speak specifically to my people. White manhood in this country it's a mess. I mean, we're a mess, guys. We are an absolute freaking mess. Do you know that someone on our page this morning said something about how we had discouraged people from voting, which we've never done. We've never done that on our page. We've never told anyone not to vote. But this particular guy was upset that Kamala lost and he wanted somewhere to put his frustration. And actually there was someone else in the comments saying like, no, they've never done that. They've never told anyone not to vote. So anyway, in this conversation, he said at the end of it, he said, well, I'm a white man. I can tap out anytime. Anytime I decide that I want to forgive or forget my empathy, you're on your own, basically. Like, you can go back and look at the comment. I should have screenshotted it and put it up. This is a white man who wanted to vote for Kamala Harris and then congratulate himself because he thinks that now Kamala Harris as president will indicate some level of progress. And don't get me wrong, in some way it would have. However, the three of us and Amar, we don't have any delusions about what Kamala Harris could have done or not done as president. Like, we know that there's still work to be done even with Kamala Harris as president. This particular person wants to be able to say, you see, we've made progress. It's post-racial America. We're ready for a black woman president. And when it didn't happen, he wanted somewhere to put that. Now he's tapped out of the conversation. Now he's going to look the other way. He's no longer responsible for doing his part to advance the cause of justice and uplift in this country. It was sickening. It's sickening. And this is a liberal guy, right? This is a liberal. Like, we're not even talking about the didn't earn it crew, right? Like the mediocre white men that are scared shitless about competing in the workplace with people of color or women or anybody else that doesn't look like them, right? Like, let's not even get started on them. But I had to call that out. I had to acknowledge, because I know people are going in on black men, and we've talked a little bit about Latino men, and like, sure, I get why that makes no sense. But white men also, I mean, we are expected to exhibit the same level of humanity as everybody else. We don't get to be less human because we are the most privileged. It just means we have the most work to do to become more human. And we are clearly not doing that work. And it makes me sick to my stomach.
Well, you made several good points.
Yeah.
You really did. You made several good points. There's no, and you as well, G, in the not understanding. There is absolutely, and I don't like to speak in terms of absolutes, but there's no logic to white supremacy and bigotry, racism. There's no science. There's no empirical data. There's nothing but myths, legend, lies, innuendo, wild conjecture, and bullshit to base that on. Okay. So you'll never, ever, 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 ever be able to understand the logic behind white supremacy and racism and bigotry, because there is none. It's just, I'm better than you just because you just deal with it, and and you've had black folks in this country shaking their head for hundreds of years, like, bro, what are you talking about? Where are you coming from? And no one has ever in 248 years been able to explain it to them successfully in any academic, social, political way. Medical, nothing. There's no biological significance to white supremacy and racism and bigotry. There's nothing to it but this mental and emotional sickness disconnect, and we can't, after 248 years, we still can't convince the status quo in this country that they have a serious mental issue with this racism and white supremacy and bigotry thing. They think it's okay.
So, Tim, I think that might be a good lead in to the next question, which is, what do we do? What do we do now? We've processed, we've unpacked. What do we do now? Before we do that, shout out to Eddie. He's with us. He's on our page all the time, contributing. Eddie, wonderful that you've given us a listen. Grant, what do you think about what Eddie said here? I think he remarked this when I was commenting earlier. He said white hippies turned into Trumpers. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Something. I think I mean, look, judging from some of the states that he ended up winning, they make a good point. These white people who, hippies that were once considered to be these tree huggers, who were all about, eating clean and vegans and looking for, again, these are the people who are looking to connect somewhere. And so there was that time where I think these people were just sort of floating in this country and having no connection other than trying to find themselves. But I think that, again, with Trump's constant campaigning, I think he said that he had over 900 campaign rallies. That's absurd. That's crazy. That he was able to do that. But over 900 rallies, what are they going to try to? They're going to check out and say, "Hey, I'm gonna see what it's all about." And when they went and saw all the camaraderie amongst everyone and wearing the red hats and MAGA hats, all these people selling merch and buying merch. And I think that he was able to pull in those folks who typically would have been. So that demographic was the young voters. I think what he's trying to point at. That's the young voters that
Trump's not a racist. He's not a racist. He just talks silly sometimes. He's not.
And people said that. They said they were willing to put aside. They were willing to put aside his jargon, his racist jargon, for the economy, for the pocketbook.
Exactly. Yep. Hey, welcome, Dukes.
The ghost in the machine.
The conscious one in the gym, in the building. There, you muted, man. Hey, Dukes, look, we were just about to talk about what do we do now? So like as a collective, as a group, what is it that we do now, both as a collective in our homes, in our communities, and then also like what ideas might we have for folks out who are listening, or for you listening, what ideas do you have? What is it you're wondering about? How maybe can we help you? Is there some synergy here that we can capture together to support you, to help you? We want to definitely have a conversation with you if it's helpful for you about what we do now. Like, how do we make it through and out of these 4 years? Dukes, why don't we start with you on that? Because you're just getting here. We want to get you in the conversation quickly there, my brother.
No sound.
Go ahead, Dukes.
No.
Nope. Yeah, we don't hear nothing.
Okay, so listen, I think there's two ways that we need to go about this. I'll start, and then we can build. When Dukes gets his sound right, he can jump in. There's a couple things that I think we need to be thinking about. One is mutual aid, right? Because I talked to you about like my school community when I was principal and how hard that was on me. I had a group of administrators, I had a group of educators that helped me cope, right? I didn't know it at the time that it was mutual aid, but it was mutual aid. So I'm wondering, thinking about the people in our communities, our neighbors, our friends, the people that may be most at risk, or in the ways we ourselves are at risk from what Trump may do. We don't know what kind of martial law. I mean, he might round us up next week because we've been all on Facebook and YouTube talking all kinds of shit. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? So I'm just wondering about mutual aid. How can we maybe channel with others? That's one thing. And then how is it that how do we shift our focus as a group to be more confrontational to what Trump may be trying to do in the near future? So those are the two things that are on my mind. I'm wondering what you guys think. Dukes, is your sound ready? Still can't hear him. So anyway, what do you guys think about that?
Ray, I want you to go first, man. Let me off the hook right here real quick. Please.
Okay, yeah, look, and Eddie's got a comment too, G. Community self-defense, mutual aid, communal healing. Hey, right on. Hey, so listen, self-defense is definitely something that we need to think about. Tim, you and I, we've talked a little bit about some of the training that I need your help with. So like that's one thing, right? For sure. So community self-defense, that's a great idea, Eddie. Go ahead, G. What do you have?
Well, I had a little bit of a conversation earlier about, and again, I think that we gotta look at this as from a community standpoint. But
hey,
we
G,
also
look at this comment. Look at this comment right here.
well,
That's exactly what we're talking about, Sean Christopher Redmond. That's exactly what we're talking about. Tim is our man for that.
Cool up, yeah. That's definitely what needs to happen. But I think what we need to talk specifically in terms of Black women. I think that we always have heard the saying that Black women are the most unprotected people on the planet, and I think with this election, I think I saw a lot of hurt, and it's going to take a lot of healing in order to recover from this. And I think what needs to come out of this.
Check.
What Dukes was talking yesterday about how the Arab American population stood their ground and made it and let them know, like, look, you're gonna hear from me. You're gonna respect me. You're gonna listen to what our needs are. That's what Black women need to be able to do because I felt like they were disrespected in the terms of which white women said, look, even though we're both women, I'm not siding with you. The numbers show it. And so at the same time, the Democratic Party has always pandered and always just assumed that they're going to get the vote from Black women or Black people in general, but Black women in particular. So I think there needs to be some type of movement where these next 4 years, whatever that might look like, to be able to get that respect that they feel, I think they feel that they was lost during this election. I don't know what that looks like, but I think there needs to be a specific movement on their behalf to let this country and the world know that look, we're not gonna just get getting ran over and disrespected. Like we matter in this country. We're talking about a demographic of people who have the most educated. I mean, that's on record. Okay, they have the most degrees out of any demographic group. Black women have. So, and then also when it comes to a certain level of success, when it comes to small businesses, they're pretty ranked very high. So they're needed in this economy. They're needed in this country. But I really felt like they felt unwanted at the end of the day. So I think there needs to be some kind of movement just specifically for them. Again, we'll always be able to. Again, we need to be able to back that, whatever that might be able to be. But as a community level, of course, I do agree with you, Eddie. There needs to be first. We got to do the healing part of it. Mental health is definitely something that we always keep a watch on and understand that mental health is very important. So we have to be able to heal from this first. If in fact it does get to the point where we're leaning towards a race riot, which is possibly could happen, certainly we tooling up for certain. So I mean, hey, start saving up, man. I mean, weapons are not cheap, so we do need some kind of fund or some kind of way to collect funds in order to put aside in case we do need to right to bear arms, right? So I think we can start there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let me.
Am I here? Am I on yet?
You on?
Yeah.
You hear me?
So
All right,
what we have so far, we need to emphasize somehow Black woman healing, right?
Okay.
I heard tooling up. I heard self-defense. Those are things I've heard so far. Now, Eddie, I want to throw something out to you because Eddie, you and I were in a dialogue. I believe it was we were messaging a little while back, and I forgot to mention to you, Eddie, when we were live it would have been more than a month ago now, Eddie. We were on and we were with Day from Detroit, from General Strike. And she actually mentioned like, hey, listen, if you know him, if he's interested, like I'd love to, connect with him and maybe get him engaged. So Eddie, our email address is at the top there. You also can message us. Eddie, it'd be great to have you tapped in, man, because I know you've been doing some stuff and you could lend your knowledge, wisdom, and talents to General Strike, to us in potentially some way. Especially we're talking about self-defense and everything. So that might be an area where we can connect. Now, with all that said, the conscious one, tap in, my good brother.
Let's break it down. Take me through the emotions. Take me through the steps where we are. So the first thing we said
we're on
was
the last one. We're what do we do now?
What do we do now? But I can't get there till you ask me how I feel. I gotta get there first. I gotta let it out first.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, we only got about 15 more minutes.
I know. Give it to me. I got it.
Okay, well, how are you feeling?
I don't know, man. I think last night I went through the emotions. I think we're up last night. 4 or 5 o'clock, still texting each other. But not drained. I think that Tim gave it to us earlier. What to expect? Grant hit us with the other reality. So we weren't too. I mean, that was good to hear what it looked like. So that gave us that. But how I felt was like just shocked. Like, okay, this is America, and this is America, and so that's where I was at. To add on to when I got on hearing what G was talking about, the protection of a certain class of people, especially for the role that they played in voting this time and what they've always played in certain communities, definitely got, that from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, I totally 100% agree with that, because it's like, for a long time, they've held our back. They had our back, and now the backlash of what this may look like can be something different, and I think that's coming, because sometimes you can put aside the person who they didn't vote for me anyway, so they don't care. Now that everybody else who didn't vote for them, it was them.
Yeah. So especially the numbers were with Black women. You're right.
Yeah. So that's where hearing that, I think that's there has to be a concern, and that concern can be looked at, or it can manifest in so many different ways, whether it's through music, through the arts, whether it's this what happens within households. But those type of things to the point where they feel emboldened and empowered is very important because they still hold the most important role in this nation. So it's very important that we make them feel supported. So that's where I'm at with that. So you said where we are right now. I'm sorry, where we are.
Well, how do you think this happened? How do you think this happened?
How do I think this happened?
Yeah,
I guess that could be looked at so many different ways. I think that going with G and Grant viewpoint, it was gonna happen anyway. If that makes sense. What do you mean how you think it's happened? This is America. I mean, what dream were we dreaming on that we thought something like this was not going to happen? So that's the reality. To break it down, though, is like you could look at the demographics of who voted and how they voted, and placing responsibility where it needs to be had. Last week, I said something that I probably got to eat, and right now it was like, well, how did she lose? And then for me, I was like, well, it's not her fault. But now you got to look at the strategy. They played an awful game, or they didn't. There's some things they didn't do that could have guaranteed a better outcome. So what happens is I think they lost because they didn't play the electoral college game, right? I mean, the thing is just play that game, you'll win. Trump, on the other hand, he played the popular vote. I mean, he was going to say he knew he wasn't going to win, but he was just going places that, listen, hey, I just need to vote so people know that the nation is behind me, right? And he racked up. Look at what it looks like in New York City. He was out there and he was in New York campaigning. He wasn't going to win New York. He was in California doing things. These places that he knew that he wasn't going to win still racked up to make it more favorable for the American people, like more palatable. Like, listen, I really won this time. So he did those type of things. How did we get here?
So what do we do now? What do we do now?
What do we do now?
And here, let me show you what we got so far. Here are some ideas that we have so far that we were just beginning to kick around as you were joining in.
I think that what we do now, I think there has to be a real regroup. I think we got to get to the emotional aspect of it, right? And then from that emotional aspect of it, then we gotta wake up, right? I think there's some conversations that Black people got to have amongst themselves about what their expectations is. Because what's noticed in this, you could just see in this election, everybody else assimilated into what America stands for, right? You look at Latinos, they assimilate into what America stands for, and they understand what America stands for is. It is a suppression and keeping Black people down, but they're okay with that. Everybody was okay with that. Keep in mind, like Tim, they were saying yesterday when even the Puerto Ricans, everybody said something about they've been talking about Black and brown people all this time, but nobody had anything to say. But when they talk about them personally, that's when it needs to be done. But we've always been saying he's this way. Always been saying that. But so like it was for everybody else, it was totally okay for him to be bigoted towards us. But when you know what I'm saying, it was totally okay. They would let that slide. But when it came to us, when it came to them, that's when it became a problem because they assimilated into the American, what America stands for. Now I think that we got to ask ourselves now: is this what we want? Do we really want to assimilate into American culture and truly be American? If not, we need to figure out what that stands for, or what we want to do. And so I think that's a personal conversation that we got to have, because then within that conversation we can move where, like the Muslim did in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, a lot of those people voted independent. If you look at the numbers, if everybody that voted independent would have voted for Harris, she would have won Michigan.
Say that again.
If there was a lot of people voted for independence in Michigan.
Oh no, that's not true.
I mean, 2%.
No, it's not true.
2% did 2% did not vote for independent. 2%.
I mean, if you want to add independent, then you need to give Trump the Chase Oliver votes, the libertarian.
No. But look at I said if everybody would have voted, everybody who voted independent would have voted for Harris. She could have took Michigan.
I don't think that's true, but I mean, I'm glad to be proven
Just
wrong.
look at the numbers. I've been doing numbers all day long.
Okay.
But same thing. But same thing is there in Pennsylvania. Same thing is there in Minnesota, right?
No, it's
That
not.
that that independent vote. I mean,
No, it's not.
she's close to
It's not.
winning. She's
Dude,
close to
why
winning
you
those
lying? But
states.
why are you lying though? But why are you lying? Why are you just making stuff up, man?
You don't think she could have won those
I
states
know
without?
she couldn't have.
Would you say?
I know she couldn't.
See, now you got me going to numbers.
Can I get down one time while you research?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it twice. Arabs stood their ground and got their respect over there in Detroit. Let me tell you where all the Arab respect in the United States actually came from. September 11th, 2001.
Oh, I agree with that also.
That's where the respect for Arabs in the United States and across the world came from. It was September 11th, 2001, when they asserted themselves as players on the world stage who were due to be respected in a language that the status quo could understand. Now, when Arabs walk in, people turn their heads, they perk up, their ears, eyes, like, oh shit, you know. That's how they asserted their dominance. This little political shit, you know what I mean? Whatever. As for Black women movement, healing, protection, I think we have to protect each other because there's only really one demographic of woman out there, Megan Thee Stallion and all these other ones talk about, I don't need no effing man, okay? It's my opinion, unlearned, unresearched, just based on my own experience, and it might be me, I don't know. But Black women are really, really good at devaluing Black men. Really good at it. Really very, very good at devaluing Black men. You know, Black American women. There ain't no good men out there. I don't need no man. Niggas ain't shit, you know, all this kind of stuff. So we need to protect each other. We need to protect each other. We need to accept each other and we need to work together. I agree with that. But you know, and then Dukes, you said truly being an American. Can I get a red cheek slap for that? Because we ain't never gonna be Americans. Never. We're gonna be African Americans. We're gonna be Black Americans. But we will never, ever be true Americans in the United States. Never. Like an Arab will never be a true American, but they get respect.
But see, that's what I'm saying is that even Latinos understand. They understand what the currency, what it means to be American for them. It may not be equated to what the white Americans have, but they understand what their currency means to accept America. Right? To be American, you got to do certain things. I think that African Americans on one end want to be capitalist. They and some African Americans find it okay to suppress other people for the benefit of whatever tribe that they want to hold on to. I think that's there. That's what it means to be Americans. But then also there is a group of Americans. I think that is for a group of African Americans that truly believe in the words that the Constitution holds.
They stupid.
And so, that's why we still here. That's why we still fighting, right? To truly believe in what those words stand for.
Donalds, they're deluded. That Constitution doesn't apply to us. It never has, and it never will. Donald Trump just said he's going to give police officers 100% immunity. Right? We don't have no rights in this country.
I know that, Tim. I'm with you. I totally agree with those things. But I'm saying that, but if we talk about just to this class of people, now the thing is, how do we bring all those people to the fold? Because now there's so many different fractions in here. Mm-hmm. Like, well, keep in mind. So who has been keeping things alive and running and households running forever? That is that Black woman. You can't sit back and totally not ignore their contributions to the last some years, right? You can't. You have to look at what's been done.
Not doing that. I'm just saying the problem exists. There's one class of women out there is all out in the media. I don't need no man.
But once again on that, you got to realize.
Yeah, that's not all.
Is that by design? Is that by design also?
I don't need no man. I didn't say it was all Black.
But I'm saying is that's by design, and by protecting what I'm saying. When we say protecting, we can do away with that image too.
And look, so I wonder what you guys, because listen, we're not all in the same location. We're all in different places. That's one of the disadvantages of our group, right? Everything that we do together is online.
We could be fighting right now.
Now. But okay, but here's something came up on our page when we promoted that we were going to be having this conversation. Someone said something like, we either need to get in this wasn't a we specific to a racial group. It was like we like justice-minded people, right? People on this page who support 360 Collective. We either need to get in the Democratic Party and force it to become more progressive, or we need to just go and form our own party or join another party and make that party live. So
I agree.
So we don't need to necessarily agree on that now, but I'm wondering, as a collective, do we begin to engage with a political party in that particular way, where we start using our resources, our talents, our skills to advance a political platform?
But this is where Tim mind frame goes, because we're so lost. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the right thing. It's logical. It's a logical thing to do, because after you've been abused and taken advantage of for so long, that's logical. But we're still delusional in some ways.
Yeah, like Eddie's saying.
Yeah, we're still delusional. So then, no, that's not going to happen. Because keep in mind, something like this happened, try to go on in the 1970s in Chicago, in Ohio, when there was a Black caucus, and that fell apart.
I saw on your slide there you had some workshops.
Oh yeah. I'll and so maybe what you think, like some anti-capitalists, like, because people don't really know what capitalism. A lot of people don't really know what capitalism is. They think it's just the free market. And it's not. It's the opposite of that. In fact,
my thing is trying to dismantle white supremacy and racism with a workshop is like trying to dismantle Mount Rushmore with a scalpel and a surgical.
Oh, it's education. It's education. It's education for people.
248 years we've been saying the same shit. We've been saying the same shit to the same people for 248 years. You could beat them in the head with a book and they will get the message quicker than reading it.
Hey,
then that's what we do then. So you want
Tim on one.
I think we are. We're adopting
phone books from back in the day, the 1980s, 5 inches thick.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? Because something's got to give, bro. We can't.
I know. The thing is that he right though. The thing is, in reality, he right though.
Run up in these classrooms talking about, listen to me.
The thing is that he right. The thing is he right. It's never going to get that way but he's right.
You have to force people to take credit.
Only thing this nation respects is violence.
I don't want to be violent. I'm not advocating for violence.
Listen, we're not going to talk about that here. We're not going to talk about that here. We're not going to talk about that.
I'm not advocating for violence.
I know you're not.
I am predicting violence. You can't arrest the weatherman for predicting a damn tornado. I am predicting violence. I'm not advocating for violence. I am predicting violence because that's the only language that the status quo understands. If you step on their sensibilities, they get violent. If you cross a certain kind of line, stop resisting. They get violent. If you threaten their interests in the country, abroad, overseas, anywhere in the universe, they get violent. You know, so we can be intellectuals and we can be highly educated and we can have all the best and most effective and greatest arguments. I think Kamala did, you know, and still we're gonna lose.
And see,
because instead of slapping them on the cheek for
that's
real,
what they said how she lost is because being too educated.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and so now
she's gonna lose no matter what. We already established that. It didn't matter what she said. She was gonna lose no matter what.
She could have dumbed it way down to you know, street urchin level. She still would have lost. She's very well.
Wake up a white man to win that race, or
so you don't think Michelle Obama could have won the race?
No,
I don't actually.
No.
I don't.
Now
I'm blacker than Kamala.
I don't know.
I mean, but well, Michelle is a little different. I mean, Kamala still has her record. She you know, some things about her. Michelle's more. She's already been in the White House. She's the wife of a president. I mean, I don't know. I think the race would have been a lot closer. It wouldn't have been no landslide if it had been Michelle. That's for sure.
Perhaps yes. Perhaps yes.
And if she had a couple years to campaign in a normal situation, I mean, there are other variables. Okay, but so, like, listen, we're not online talking about becoming the vanguard of the revolution, and we're not going to make the mistake of, oh, it's time for a revolution. We need to go down to the Capitol. Like, we're not going to do that because we know that that's futile.
It's not going to work.
The collective psychology of our country, of our people in this society are not ready for that, and they do not accept the progressive ideas that we hold dear to our hearts. So my point in offering an education is that we are an education collective. We can educate people, and it's not our responsibility. We're not trying to take charge of a community and galvanize a community and lead it towards the promised land, because we live in different places. So I'm just trying to be, in one sense, pragmatic about what we can do online together that might be of value to someone else. That said, we absolutely should be doing things in our own community that are more on the ground, and I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay, then
which one are y'all running for office?
Going through my
Hey, look, maybe so. G, I mean, shit. Tim Hampton.
What? Which one of us want to do what?
Timothy Hampton for mayor of Grand Rapids.
Nah, man.
But no, I think those things are important. We need to
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Bro, they ain't ready. They ain't ready.
Hey, Bobby Rush did it. I mean, hey,
yeah.
No, my thing, I just feel like like the classes, you have to force them to take the class as part of their job or whatever. And then they sit in there pissed off that they got to hear about all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In 1995, 96, when I first got to Western, I was in an African-American studies class. I took a lot of them. And this white kid raised his hand and said, when are we going to study some real history, right? We ain't teaching white folks nothing. In a class that's an hour or a week. We ain't teaching them white men that voted for Trump nothing. We ain't teaching them white women that voted for Trump nothing, because they've been looking at it their whole lives, as plain as the nose on their face, and they still can't see it. They still can't see it. What they can see, though, is a bloody nose. Now, I'm not advocating for violence, but that's what's going to happen.
Oh, my God.
That's what's going to happen. What they can understand is broken teeth and bones. That's what's got to happen, because they're not going to give it. They would rather destroy the earth and rule over the ashes than share with the human family. I think we've seen that. I think Netanyahu and Israel trying to kill an idea to the last man. Okay, we're gonna wipe out Hamas to the last man. How can you even rationally say that as a human being? You're trying to kill an idea. You can't do that. You know what I mean? They would rather destroy an entire world, planet, over and over again than share with the human family. Hey, man, so what are we supposed to do? We wait 300 years for everybody to be brown. That's all we can do, is wait 300 years for everybody to be brown, or else we're going to have to ball up our damn fist.
I was just talking about hosting a workshop on like a 90-minute thing. That's all I was talking about.
No. But I think what the brother is at is that, and this is some things that I said that earlier. I was saying last night, we have to work out that piece of where we really at, where we really feel, right? Because if not, we can't use that motivation. We can't use that energy for good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying is that how can we bottle that up?
But if we don't think we can do anything, what are we doing here?
No.
We just fuck it all. Let's do nothing.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that,
like Tim's saying, like, let's just wait it out. So I die and we still the same shit.
Hey, man, ain't nobody gonna fight. That's the only choice we got.
No, but what I'm saying is that his energy is there. The energy is there, but right now it could be connected so much to the election. So it's not a bad thing. Is that maybe it's just I don't want to say the word tone down because that's a bad thing to say. But then it's like how can we bottle this energy and use it to the point where then we can steer it in a way that can be done. Right now he's on one. We know this is Hampton from Western. You know what I'm saying?
Way back in the day.
But keep in mind also the Hampton of now, he even said it, he's matured at times, and his maturity comes with age and the time that we've been on this earth. But we all felt like at some level of that, right? So, but then how we matured and we learned some things, we did some things, and we realized that I can bottle my energy up and I can use it, force it in different ways. He's totally right because that's what they're doing. I mean, keep in mind they're bombing people. They're still doing it. It's still going on. Right? You know, so I think what he's saying is that in order to get respect, maybe literally he's saying the teeth, and literally he's saying the black in the eye. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? And what this is that we can't be punks to not think that that's not what needs to happen. Because
I'm down. I'm saying, okay, so what's the plan?
Because when we were
I'm here, I'm ready. So what's that plan?
What's the plan? Okay,
buy a piece of land and start a militia. I mean, what y'all talking about?
Like what? So what's that plan?
That could be last. I'm saying is that could be last resort. But what I'm saying is that, but we have to be ready for that.
Agreed. We already
so for me,
Tim's gonna help me tool up. Like we've done that. We've agreed. We're doing that.
But so for me is. And I said this last night too. We have to learn from history. So the closest group that had something similar going on was the Panthers. So how can we take from what the Panthers had and maybe do something like that? Because they had the educational things and where they got people together and mobilized.
I mean,
right. And but then at the same time, how can we learn from their failures also? We got of bad leadership in some areas, like egos, those type of things. How can we learn from those things too?
Okay, y'all are talking real courageous here. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down to a realistic level here. We're four intellectuals with a lot on the line to lose. No one here is willing to lose it. So let's just. I think the people.
I'm not even saying that, G. I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like if that's the thing, that's an offline conversation. We're online now talking in front of the whole world. I'm trying to have constructive conversation about real things that we can do. If we're talking about going to get somebody, we're going to do that offline. We're not going to talk about this shit right now on this forum. So
I'm just saying.
So
no.
Let's go back to the workshop.
I'm clarifying.
Let's go back to the mutual aid. Let's bring some kids, some blankets, like that. Like let's talk about that. Because if we talk about that other thing, we don't do that online. We all should know that.
Right. Yeah. Look, we have an audience here. We have over 100,000 followers. They want to know. We've got this constructive criticism before. Like, what's next, you all? We all are engaging in discourse and dialogue all the time about what we should be doing, what we could do, but we actually need to put some boots on the ground and make it happen. So I think we've always offered solutions of what other people can do in their respective neighborhoods and communities, what they can do to mobilize. So we're seen as being those people should have those solutions. Now, I mean, yes, we can offer one, but we need to have multiple tiers of solutions, so we can mobilize and we can give.
But we're just educators. We're not the vanguard. We're not trying to be the vanguard. At least unless I'm confused, we're not trying to be the vanguard. We're trying to play our role.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it right there. That's it. We everybody got a role to play, no matter where's at. There's school teachers got a role to play. Little kids got a role to play. Football teams got a role to play. Everybody's got to play their role. And right, so then that means we all got to identify what our role looks like, and then understand what the outcome should be. So I think what people are saying, what you're trying to say, G, is like, what does that look like for a family? And so that could be from here on out. Where do I spend my money at? Where do I intentionally spend my money at? Because if you're dealing with capitalism, it matters, right? Where do I intentionally spend my money at? Do I want to make sure that if I'm spending $10 here, I understand what this corporation stands for, and if I don't spend $10 here, I need this corporation to understand why I'm not spending my $10 and where my $10 going. So that's something that a family could sit back and say, you know what, I like Fago, maybe because it's made it's made here in Michigan, and I want to make sure people in Michigan are workers. And so that is a I'm only buying Fago. Same thing. You maybe you guys people who work for Chrysler. I'm only buying a Chrysler car because you know what, I want to make sure my uncle and my cousin stay employed. So we got. I think that's a step. Where's my
strategic spending plans?
Where's my money going?
Where you?
I've never lived in a chocolate city other than Atlanta, and there are no black gun shops. There are no black gun ranges. Are there any gun ranges owned by blacks or gun shops owned by blacks where any of you live? Gun shops, gun ranges.
Hey, look, honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
No, there's no black owned. There's maybe one black owned gun shop in the whole United States and very few black gun ranges. You know what I mean? The hell with a Tea Party. Let's get to the range. Let's develop a range. Let's start drilling in the woods like they do. They have no problem showing us that. There's
groups. There's groups. I'm part of a group online where there's groups of a black people who are do like
I got a role to play. We just talked about roles. I got a role to play.
That's what I'm talking about.
I went 10,000 miles around the world to kill people who look like me on behalf of people who look like Ike. Right? So now you want me to sit back and be quiet and be an intellectual when I got people coming for me. Literally, police, rednecks, you walk through one of their neighborhoods, they shoot you and get away with it. But I'm supposed to chill and be an intellectual. I don't think so. I'm organizing a squad who can shoot. That's what I'm going to do because I don't have to go get nobody. They coming for us anyway.
Who told you to be an intellectual?
Who told me to be intellectual?
Yeah.
I did primarily. After I got out of the military
I think that gun range is a dope idea. I'll come down there and you can teach me how to shoot.
That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to illustrate on camera how well we can shoot and how well we can run and jump in the woods and shit. Because that's the only thing that they respect. We ain't got to go get nobody. We ain't got to fight nobody. We just have to illustrate. We have to have our own arms race. We have to have our own Cold War because they are not going to give us anything based on a workshop class, seminar, none of that. They're not going to give us anything based on a political vote. They're not going to give us anything based on economic status because we ain't got none. I had the graphic a couple weeks ago. We have a $1 trillion spending habit and the lowest net worth in the country. We spend trillions every year and we don't own shit. We don't produce nothing.
But brother Tim, that's where the class comes in at. The class comes in at right there as okay, this is where we're missing. We're missing on how to spend money.
Class for us. That's class for us. You're right.
It's both for us.
It's not for Jim Pacheski because he ain't trying to listen. He don't even care.
And that could be like I do believe there got to be separate classes sometimes. But keep in mind, I think that in order to get in line, there has to be those type of classes on what to do and how to do it. Basic one-on-one type stuff. Absolutely. So like the Panthers would do, they would have these PE classes, they would call them. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so what happens in these PE classes, they were teaching about local politics and ways to be effective to the community. Instead of having your own agenda, one of the main things was let's go door to door, asking the people what they need versus me telling them what they need. Right. So these are things, but these are strategies that must be learned. It's not some of these are not innate.
Speaking of education, let's get in there in elementary school and stop teaching about Columbus and the Great British Empire.
But see, right now is that's right now. This is why Isaac is doing some great things with the video camera. I know that we have to make sure that we document history because
if we want to educate folks, we got to start when they're 9 years old. You ain't gonna educate no 35-year-old man. If you want to the military goes to the high schools to get people. They don't go to the colleges. They don't go to the old folks' home. They go to the high schools to get people. That's where they got me from. I come from a military family. When they came for me, I went. You know what I mean? We have education is key. Workshops, classes, but for kids, not for grown people.
Hey, I'm calling bullshit, man, because you've hosted good workshops with us.
Yeah, great.
That people have responded to and have enjoyed. You've helped people think differently.
I would hope so.
No. You have. You can see it in the comments,
so.
Man.
But I want to get them. I want to get them in school age.
And the thing is that would be the situation. I totally agree with that. I think that, but in order to get them at school age, you got to have people to get them at school age.
Yeah,
it's both and, man. Like this is the conversation that everybody needs to be having. Tim, you have elite skills when it comes to guerrilla training and fighting. That's some shit that we all need to get from you. And then when it's time to teach that seminar, you're gonna say, "Fuck y'all! I'm gonna go back and shoot. I can go back and teach y'all better when you come down next month. I go teach the seminar, then you come. I mean, so like it doesn't have to.
We all have a role to play.
Everyone has a role to play.
Everyone got a role to play. So like Grant could do the economical thing, the importance of economics in communities and how to spend money and how. Because I mean, who knows when anything will pop off? But same time is that, like even right now, we do need to figure out for those that are in position, if the economy is going to turn for the better in some ways for individuals. How do we put ourselves in this capitalistic system to make sure that from a financial standpoint we are more secure?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what's going to happen? So if the Dow is going to go up or whatever. This is where we learn how to maybe do some investing, even though it could be against some things that you could believe in or we make believe in. But if money's going to be made and we in this capitalism,
what do you do with the money? Yeah, what do you do with the money?
So that means right. So for some people, it could just be housing, but housing costs money. But imagine if people got together that money we're just talking about is being wasted. But imagine that money was properly invested in something, and then we take the profits from that, and something happened. So these are things that everybody got their own specialties. I'm not saying that us four. I'm just saying people in general have something that they're great at. How do they use this for the better good?
Hey, hold on. G, what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
What you mean?
Hey, look at G. Hey, get in the screen. We can't see you. Hey, you see what he's doing, Tim? Hey, look. Hey, Tim. You start talking about guerrilla training, Tim. He ducked off the camera. You see
is he hiding now? Is he hiding?
Hey, make no mistake about it. That ain't my leg. You ain't worry about that. I ain't got to be that damn guerrilla training. I got too much to lose.
Hey, look, let me give it. Hey, I want to acknowledge what Eddie said because this is a comment we didn't get to read. He said,
"Oh my gosh,
do y'all stuff." Yeah. Listen, Eddie says, "Do y'all stuff."
You hurt my stomach.
And y'all support me. This is what family does. For our human family to become one, then we must do the same. We should be connecting our different skills and avenues to help each other more than ever. Right on. That's a perfect way for us to bring some sense of closure to the conversation. But before I do though, I want to show this one more time and make sure we haven't missed anything. Hold on,
G, where you been? Where you been, G? I've been eating that realness for a long time.
This is what we got so far. I put anti-racist action research because that's something I think I can do here in Chicago, out of my own free time with others in the community. You know, like rent out a space at the library and just get together a study group and apply content to work lives, civic lives, things like that. So I just put that one in there, even though we didn't talk about it. That's just something that was a brain.
Hey, can I hold off real quick? Now, G, I understand. So G more middle of the road. Then what's the answer, G? I don't want because I missed some things. What's the answer? And I'm not saying you're wrong or anything like that. But now it's like you are. I think you got it. I know you got it. That's going to be more palatable to everybody else. What's the? And I'm not putting you. It's like not someone putting you on the spot. Whatever you say is going to be more understanding on my end to the point where, okay, that's probably what I need to do. What do you think needs to be done? Needs to be happening right now, probably like in the next 6 months, and then maybe we can print off to 2 hours.
It's going to be me and Tim down in the jungle
Hey,
You guys
hey,
gonna be
hey!
up in
Listen.
Detroit hosting a little workshop.
Listen. I'm trying to get my brother on. I'm trying to get my brothers to get me out.
I mean, no, but I mean that's what the Panthers did. They had different jobs for certain people, different positions around the country.
We got to burn this whole conversation, man. We got to burn. We have to totally delete this off of the internet.
But no,
there's a militia group that marches through Stone Mountain, Georgia, once a month, armed to the teeth, all dressed in black.
They come. Yeah, I seen it.
I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
But G,
once a month, all dressed in black.
What do you think for you and your son? What's the move?
No, for myself.
Then for you and your son.
Oh, me, my son. No, I wouldn't know necessarily on that level, but I think you said it already. I think I had this conversation before about us all in our own expertise, really focusing on what we're good at, and then taking that and developing something tangible.
Yeah.
You all heard me say this before. Something tangible to give to our listeners on a weekly, but we were coming on pretty regularly, but just something to give out at some point in time, whether it is a training guide for guerrilla warfare, it is something on economics, where it is something on community development, where it is something like each of us, I think, all have a expertise that we can build on and be able to develop something tangible to give to our followers, because I think we haven't really done that. I mean, we haven't engaged in discourse about all these different topics over all these 3 or 4 years now, but we haven't given anything tangible. And so I think that's the idea. And so, I'm gonna be honest, where I come in at, I am interested in the economic piece. And so I don't know, I'm not gonna get involved in something I don't know about or have interest, or that's not my field of expertise. I'll be getting in the way. So we gotta let each of us.
Yeah. So G can make the money to buy the guns. That we saying.
I get funding source.
Money by the
Stop
guns.
saying guns. Stop saying guns.
Listen.
I
told you agree what you're saying.
I tell you what.
I told you agree what you're saying. But the other part about this is, if they show it and not being scared, we can't be punks either.
I ain't about being punk, but I'm just
I'm talking to Ike. I'm talking to Ike. Oh. There has to be a show of force, or we're always gonna be walked over, and that's the only way that we can protect families. No. They've been doing it for forever. You think that now they're not scared?
You're right, man. Especially now with Trump. I mean,
right. Why do you think
black people? Might not be another election, man. I mean, the way.
Why do you think black people live in big cities like this? It's form of protection, right? But look at Michigan. Look at that red versus the blues.
Look at Tim.
Is that why, Tim? I'm looking for something. Everybody's not a soldier. I'll freely acknowledge that. Everybody's not a soldier. In every battle, say there's 100 people. 90 of them shouldn't be there. There are 9 who will take the fight to the enemy, but there's 1 who will bring the rest home. Everybody's not a soldier. Some people are economists. Some people are educators. Some people are scholars and things like that. But you gotta have the man with the jawbone of the ass.
Some are both. Some are both.
You're
a scholar. You're a scholar. You're an intellectual.
All right, listen, that's enough. Okay, that's enough. All right, that's enough, Ike.
Lee Honors College. No, hell no. I saw the pictures. I saw the pictures.
Right. I saw the pictures. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Give it to him.
He's a smart guy. We all know he's a scholar.
What you talking about? You're right.
Yeah, he's a scholar.
Yeah.
After I went to war college too.
Hey, and he's a soldier. He's a soldier too. I'm not gonna
listen. If we don't have a fighting force, we can forget it. If we don't have a fighting force, we can forget it. Colin was talking about the most lethal fighting force in the world. We don't have
up, man.
We don't even have. We have a few scatter groups around the country that march around and do things. They have whole militias all over the country running around in the woods right now, ready to get it on. You know what I mean? And we coming out of church on Sunday in red bottom shoes. Come on.
Yeah, we need that. We need that guidebook, man, on how to survive. What do we do? What do we do if we out here in the woods, and how to survive 24 hours?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can help you.
Right. So Eric,
I have my role. I'm glad we had this discussion. I'm glad I sold them on guerrilla warfare too, babe. You heard that?
You got the family involved in it.
Right. Hey, look, Toy. He only sold one. He sold one of us, and that's me. I'll be down in 2 months.
Yeah, me and G about to have we about to have brunch in a minute. Me and G about to have brunch.
Coffee, discuss some things.
It's gonna be me and my son down there. It's gonna be me and my son and my camera down there. We're gonna be making clips.
Video
and whatnot.
Everybody got the role.
The comrade Red in here already. So yeah, we about to link up with Red. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah, exactly.
Teamwork make the dream work, y'all. Teamwork make the dream work. You got your knights, you got your pawns, you got your rooks, kings and queens. Everybody got a role to play.
Everybody got a role, no matter what it is. And that's what we've always been saying. Everybody got a role. We got to play our role.
Yeah, and when they start tripping, come to my house because you're gonna be all right.
Man, I thought I was gonna open up a school or something, man. Shit, I'm
gonna open up a school.
What'd you say? He said, get him a deal on some high tech. He with it. And so I'm saying everybody got a. Oh man, so it's totally possible because it will always be said like I got me into voting. I wasn't too high. I really wasn't too keen on it. And I love politics though, right? I love politics, but I wasn't too keen on the American system because I knew it was corrupt. Mm-hmm. Even the corruption of the electoral college, and I think it's just rigged and spooked since the inception. So anything with the backing of slavery on it, as the electoral college has, it's not really gonna work in my opinion. But I had faith a little bit. I had a little bit of faith, and I was bamboozled. I don't know how I thought. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. I got soft in the last 4 years.
Yeah, you gotta vote, man. I really want to say one more thing before I leave.
You better mute yourself. You better write it down and send it to us first.
Listen, no. All your favorite technology is military technology. Yeah. Your cellular telephone, military technology. Your outstanding camera that can see in the dark on your cell phone, military technology. Your run flat tire where you can continue to drive even though there's no air in it, military technology. So, that's my role. That's the role I play, and that's what I'm bringing to y'all. So, congratulations.
And the funny thing is, that's what Isaac said. He did say we should have this conversation offline last week.
We've had the whole shit on. I mean,
we ain't crossed the line yet.
All of you guys are some assholes, and especially you, Tim. You especially.
Grant, they're gonna call you in the office tomorrow. Grant,
exactly.
Grant, they call you in the office
we got Eddie though.
Done, man. I'm about to
go ahead. Name though. I shouldn't even say his name.
You didn't say nothing wrong.
I'm about to be.
Yeah. This is free speech, damn it.
But he did call. He did say that's definitely a conversation we have offline. But it's I think everybody got their role. I think that, and it's not just we saying this forward, but I think it's like that.
We have a lot of good ideas.
For some reason, the Kool-Aid has been drank to the point that we thought that America loved us.
Nope, not at all.
We thought that, and this election showed us that. Showed us that there's a humongous of white people that truly believe in the ideas of Trump, and now they have somebody to spearhead it to be that leader, and they rolling with them.
Glad we
have it doesn't mean that the next 20 years have to be this way, but I think that we got to work. There's some work that needs to be done.
Yeah,
work needs to be done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, shit. I know. Hell.
Yeah. But I will say this, and this goes into the health piece. I think everybody, not just us, everybody got to figure out something to do to relieve it first. Because right now we can't act to speak out of in that emotion because it leads to mistakes. That makes sense. So I don't know what everybody's doing for that self-help piece. I don't know what if I thought, well, I need to go buy me a new pair of socks. I know IQ on them gym shoes tips. You know what I'm saying? I know that you want to buy some. You gotta have some kicks for them. I'm saying, or maybe it's I need to run a mile or whatever it is. I think everybody got to get in that space where they're
broke as hell.
I know how much y'all brothers paying for gym shoes these days. 2 pair of gym shoes get you a Glock.
No, I'm saying, but what is that?
All right.
None- we can't even get to that point. We can't get to that point unless we're mentally ready. We got to be mentally ready for whatever that is. I can get a Glock and I'm shooting at the wrong person if my mind's not clear enough to know what I'm doing.
Train with me, you're gonna hit them, no.
And I'm saying, and that's the next step. I'm saying, but how do we release some of the stress now to make sure that we're ready for the next thing? It's like what I'm saying is
That's a
like
good point.
it's like right
That's a
now
good
you
point.
could be mad. You could be mad at your child, but then at the same time you got so many stresses going
Mhm.
on in your house and outside the house. You find yourself maybe doing the wrong thing to the child, yelling at them for no reason,
Right.
disciplining them in the wrong way, right? And sometimes, or even with your spouse, whatever. Sometimes you need to take that walk away, walk around the block to clear your head,
Hey,
and then come back to attack, right? You got to do those type of things. So what is the goal? The goal is to win. The goal, the whole idea in this is to win.
So that's that conscious coaches, though. That's what
Yeah,
that is.
so,
That's
So
what we need to
because
do.
the goal is to win, but we're in a wrong mind frame. Sometimes we could find ourselves fighting ourselves versus fighting who the enemy really is.
Hey, Tim will be like, he'll be the first participant in the show.
I know who the enemy is.
No, we talking about the
The woosah moment.
But
The
what I'm
woosah.
saying is
when you see someone in distress, like
when we're
how
at
do
that
you,
point,
you know,
we can sit back and say, okay, this is where G, the economical piece, may be one of the most important parts in this, and then we can sit back and say, okay, G, how can we spear this and make it to the point where it makes more sense to be applied? Because what it is, because those things that I'm saying that is needed will cost finances. Workshops and books or whatever, it costs money, and sometimes people spearhead these things out of their own pockets. But imagine if we were raising our own money for certain things to spearhead some of these things to the point where we have our own funding and those type of things, right? This is where G Point and area that he's been saying for the last 2 years, we do have to get serious on figuring out what that looks like. If not just for us, maybe for not for us personally, but maybe for us as a group collectively, and then even branching out. You know what I'm saying? Because then if we have it together, we could find ourselves all living together with Tim on that beautiful island.
One free man protecting his home is more powerful than 10 hired soldiers.
You Socrates now? Well, I mean, what?
No, that's Robin Hood. That's Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
You know, I do.
That was a good movie. That was the best Robin Hood, man. I don't care what they said about his accent. That was a good movie.
Yeah, one free man protecting his home is more powerful than 10 hired soldiers, and
but that's a mind frame, though, right? It's a mind frame, and I don't think there. And so it doesn't have to be so much of a conflict of like going man versus man, but it's a mind frame of we can sit back and do things, move like that.
Clean it up. Clean up the mess that Champ made. Clean it up. Wipe that shit up now. You know what I mean? We all know I made the mess. Now we got to clean it up and sanitize it,
So for the sake,
I appreciate
that. I think Eddie's only been on this so long, but there's probably others maybe listening to. I can't see, but what's our piece to send home to somebody like Eddie or others who are listening right now? Yeah. What we ending this with?
Yeah.
I mean, this was strategic cooperative planning for us. And if anyone wanted us to help with theirs, we would do that. But it seems like Eddie has benefited us greatly, and we have a whole smorgasbord of things to work on.
Well, I think that what happens is we're not together like in the same spot. So then this hurt a little bit, not having, and I apologize for being late. But this is like I think now if we went on for another hour, we'll be ready to present a better project a little bit because of now I think everybody needs to vent.
Oh, this is fantastic. We weren't. I mean, the goal wasn't to come up with a document and share with the people. It was for us to figure out what we want to do and what our friends and followers on the page want us to do, or how we can help them, or what opportunities there are to link up. So, like, we made a great connection with Eddie. I'm more than satisfied with that. And what we have here, we can offline build on and go on.
Yeah. But that's the process. I think a lot of people just.
It's a process. It's a process.
I appreciate it.
But I know that so I know Tim and I had talked about bringing back the takeout show like once a week, where we just talk about posts and stuff on our page, so it's like real easy. And if someone has something they want to talk about, they can. But it's just like a hour of jumping back into our posts, looking at
the posts are going crazy now.
Yeah, like looking at the memes or whatever we put on the page, talking about them, debating them, looking at some of the comments.
I agree. I like that because there's so much activity on the page now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and it's real. It's low. Like it's low. What's the word? What they call those voters that JD Vance was trying to reach out to? The low res vote. What was it? You know what I'm talking about, Tim? Like I've never voted before, so I'm gonna try to get you to come out and vote on this.
No, I'm still laughing that you called Donald Trump's kids mongrels.
Oh,
for his mongrel children. Yeah.
Dang.
Hey, I was shocked at how tall. What was that? Did y'all see how tall
he is?
Is he
like
6'9"
7 foot look like?
He's 6'9", really?
He is tall. Yes, yeah.
Well,
Trump is tall too, though.
Taller than Trump.
So Trump is tall too, though. So I mean, he's not like Trump is taller than both of us, all of us.
Yeah. All right, my good brothers. Well, listen, it's been great, man. We've spent a couple hours online. It's been a wonderful conversation as always. I think it's just about that time for us to log off, and we'll be back again, and probably within a couple more weeks. I'm imagining, right?
Yeah. Now I gotta see who picking up my window, but I got you. I'm ready.
Couple more days, Tops.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good, guys. Real Powers people.